Henshin a go baby, what's good guys? Yoku here, and a lot of people are struggling with Discordant solo. Now, I've already made, which is very rare, I've made a boss guide. You guys have never seen me make an actual boss guide outside of the Shiyu defense guide, which is like mini boss guides, if you will. But when I say I made a boss guide, I mean I really made a boss guide. I think, in fact, this is quite literally, out of every single thing you've ever seen for Zenless, I think I made the best boss guide in the entirety of Zenless Zone Zero since the dawn of Zenless Zone Zero. Now, what I'm gonna do today is a couple of different things when it comes to Discord and solo. We're gonna talk about the misconceptions about why she's not this horrible boss that people are making her out to be. We're gonna talk about why she's not actually super shield or over shield, the most shield boss that people are making her out to be as well. But she is shield, not gonna deny that. She's just not the most shield. It's not the problem that you guys think it is. I'm not gonna tell you to like get good or just read, because that's also not fair and it's a completely different issue. So don't, you know, calm down, keyboard warriors, get your panties out of a bunch. And the last thing that I want to do is I want to show you guys the super special guide that I made a little bit early. All right, there will be a video version of my guide coming out that I think is going to be immaculate, right? But until then, if you're on stream right now, you guys are actually getting early access to this, or if you follow me on Twitter, you would have seen it first. Twitter got my Vesper guide, the boss guide. Twitter got this like three days ago. Okay, I spent all weekend working on this stuff just to release it before Arya got here. So we're gonna do that. Are you tired of losing? Are you tired of losing those 50-50s to bullshit? Well, don't worry, big dog, I got just the deal. Let me show you a popular website that helps gamers buy more for less. Nani? Not only can you score games for less, but they've also gotten a partner top-up services, meaning you can buy your pulls cheaper too.
Oh, that's nice.
On top of that, Aniba offers something else I haven't seen any other site do: a 10% cash back with each purchase. Now I get cheaper pulls and my money back. But wait, there's more. Using my link in the description box will get you all set up to start saving more money today. Now get out there and go pull that new character. Now, let's jump into a little bit of Discordant solo today. As you guys can see on my Twitter, I have made a complete Vesper boss guide. I'll show you guys exactly what this is, but for the sake of, or rather before we get into that, or maybe I can actually do everything from Twitter. I probably don't even have to open the game. This guide is immaculate. Now, everybody that's in chat right now, I really want you guys to pay attention to what I'm about to say. I have completely debunked everything. Every single thing that people are saying about the boss being over shield or two shield or this, or you can't do this, debunked it. I've done testing. I've had other people do testing. I've done the research. I've looked up people doing runs. Even if you don't watch me and you watch Kate has literally done this, I think twice now, live in 2 different videos where he's done it a better job than I have. And he lowered the cost down from a 3 cost to a 2 cost. One of them is a 1 cost, and he was still able to clear out whatever was going on. So it's not what you think it is, right? With like, oh, it's Arya only. And that's actually one of the first things that I do mention in this written guide here. I go on to explain a little bit more, I tell you guys why like I'm credible in this particular thing. And then I go on to, you know, usual intro and reminder thing. This is in game. That's very important. This is the most important. This is in game. So assume and ensure, this might need to be assure, but whatever, that you have units that are at least sufficiently built for the teams that they are in. This means that you don't expect to come in here with some bullshit, some BS. I'm running an Anomaly team. My Anomaly DPS only has 150 AP and 12 freaking AM, but she's got 3,500 attack. You're not clearing. No, that's not going to help. 20 plus effective substats for Anomaly agents, 25 to 30 plus effective substats for attack or rupture agents. And this is not some bullshit number that I made up. This is verified by almost every other content creator that I'm aware of who does kill runs or focuses on in-game content. Everyone is pretty much on the same page. Like, bare minimum, what you need in order to handle in-game would be these stats right here, or what you're looking for here. I then go on to explain the entire strategy behind Vesper. I don't think that Vesper is the worst boss in the game by any means. Again, in my opinion, I think Vesper is quite literally the best boss in the game, right? At this current moment in time, Vesper is one of the best bosses in the game. The amount of teaching that this boss does, and y'all know I like Thrall for the same reason, a very similar reason. Thrall did it in a way where like you had to change how you played, right? Like I need to focus on stuns. I need to time my stuns in a certain manner. If I don't get stuns this way, I need to change up from stunning to doing damage. Like it changed how you played the game from a ground level. Vesper, because I know I get people anytime I mention, how dare you talk about Dark Souls? Zenless Zone Zero is nothing like Dark Souls. Do you think that this game is like market? Bro, chill, okay? Elden Ring, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, doesn't matter. You know what the F I'm talking about, okay? It's gonna be a little bit of a stretch, but I do believe Vesper is very synonymous to what you would consider something like a Dark Souls boss. Again, you can use Monster Hunter, you can use Devil May Cry. I don't really care what game you use. My point is that Vesper is a legit good action RPG boss. Zenless devs did a good job by placing this boss into the game. There are some issues. We will talk about those issues, but we're gonna get here. What you'll see me doing in a lot of my footage, and even if I were to show you guys like this little clip right here, every single button that I'm pressing is a button pressed with purpose. I'm not pressing things randomly. I'm not just, smashing left click and then hoping something happens. And then if it happens, I'm reacting to it late. No, I'm watching the stun meter. I'm watching my feather with Vivian. I'm watching how much meter I have with Jane to make sure that I don't lose passion state as much as possible. I'm looking at how much EX meter I have. I'm looking at how long it takes me to build up my EX meter, if I know the EX building combo or not. I'm looking at Astra's meter, whether or not she has it. I'm paying attention to so much. And this is like going from what would be, I guess, a casual player, a normal player, to like you're acknowledging there's so much more. Vesper is a boss fight that requires you to fight her. You can't not fight her. And so you might be thinking to yourself, like, I still don't understand what you mean, EO, like you're just yapping at this point. So we're talking about the strategy here when it comes to Vesper. And I go on to explain, again, the shilling thing. Vesper is only weak, quote unquote, to ether and highly resistant to ice and fire. She's a 40% damage reduction. If I'm not mistaken, this is the highest damage reduction in the game. I think alongside Wandering Hunter. I could be wrong on that boss. And so in the game, it says that she's suited for anomaly agents. I think something that all of us as CCs have been agreeing with is that this is not true. She's not suited for anomaly agents, right? Like, and it makes it seem like anomaly agents are favored, like they have a more favorable matchup towards her, but they don't. In reality, she's suited, if I had to give you like a thing, she's suited for a Bloom type DPS. And if I could add something, now that I've done even more experimenting and researching behind that, she also is suited for not specifically stun agents, just stunning. She is suited for a Bloom type DPS, and she is more susceptible to teams that have stunners on them. I go on to say the reason for that is because Vesper is one of the most hyper aggressive bosses we have in the game. This is true. No one can deny this. The only time she stops attacking is when you force her to. And here's the kicker. Not everyone or every team is capable of doing that. And so while we understand that, right? Not every team is capable of doing that. Not everyone is capable of doing that. What does that mean? It means that every team, right? If we look at Arya, what's the #1 Arya team right now that every single person is recommending? Every guide maker, every CC, every speedrunner, whatever. They're all recommending Arya, Suna, and Yuzuha. Why? And this is a problem that I've had in gacha games since I've been involved in gacha games and like looking at theory crafting, learning what they do, trying to understand the math behind it, and then ultimately the game, right? The gameplay. A lot of people think I hate hypercarry, and I don't. I don't hate hypercarry. I don't like how hypercarry essentially dumbs down the players' like mental. It makes you not think. That's the easiest way that I can put it. I'm sure I could elaborate on that. Maybe I'm using wrong wording here, and I apologize if someone takes offense to that, but like hypercarry period is good when you're trying to get that kill, right? Like I know I can do it. I'm just bum rushing. I need the power. That's fine. But in every other day scenarios, there's so much more that you get from not hypercarry. If most people are running this team, again, Arya, Suna, and Yuzuha, you have no stunner. And so the only guide that I've seen recommend this was Rivenus's guide. Shout outs to Rivenus. Rivenus recommended that I think he said Suna was the one you give it to. You take away her normal 2-piece and you give her a 2-piece impact, and you give her an impact 6 or you give Arya the impact 6, one of the two, so that you can get 3 stuns, because Arya does care about the stun. So instead of getting 2 stuns and praying that you get lucky enough for a 3rd one, he said you can actually change your build to force 3 stuns. It was Suna. Thank you. It was Suna. So you can change it. Now, this is something that's unheard of, right? Oh my God, change my build, support with a stunner, what? But that's the beauty in Zenless. You're able to do stuff like that. Okay, so you're able to do stuff like that, right? And again, I continue to explain. This further explains what I mean by she's catered towards the Bloom type DPS, aka dishing out an absurd amount of burst anomaly damage in less than a few seconds. I also, who was it? It was I think shout out to Tommy Anomalies, by the way, because if they didn't start a mild argument with me over a small miscommunication that they misunderstood something that I said, I wouldn't have thought to explain this. I didn't think that saying in a bloom type DPS was something that needed to be explained. And so if it wasn't for them, you guys would not have this information. This is great information to know. Anomaly is not just Anomaly. People think that, but it's not, okay? Most of you are looking at, I think, what did Yojimbo call it? Turbo Disorder? He calls it Turbo Disorder, which I think he just means hypercarrier, but it's funny that he calls it that. But a lot of people only think that Anomaly is like just that, right? You're playing the one thing, but that's not true. Anomaly has 3 different types, right? And I mentioned that down here. There are 3 different types of Anomaly damage, or rather, 3 play styles that Anomaly teams can specialize in. Mono element, which mono element is basically your standard hypercarry, if you want to think about that when it comes to it. You don't care about any of the Anomaly attributes or benefits. You just care about the one. Whatever your DPS is doing, that's what you care about. So in the case of Arya, Suna, and Yuzuha, you only care about Arya, right? Everyone else is just there to help Arya, to support Arya in doing what Arya wants to do. If you're playing Jane or Alice, a lot of people are playing Alice, Suna, and Yuzuha, right? In order to get that kill or try to get that kill against Vesper. They don't care about the disorder. They only care about what can you do in order for Alice to get as many assaults and higher damage as possible. That's what mono element is going to be. Disorder, I go on to explain it down here. Is all of these have explanations. I'm telling you guys, I did a ton of work on this guide, okay? It's the best guide that you will get for a boss guide. Yanagi, Miyabi, Bernice, these are your disorder focus. Teams that are comboing off of each other, right? Hey, you just popped your shatter or you just popped freeze. Okay, I'm gonna pop burn now. Boom, disorder, let's do it again. Hey, you just popped assault. Oh, beautiful. I have enough EX energy. I'm gonna polarity, zip, zap, zoom. Polarity disorder, then double disorder on top of that, plus another shock. Oh my God, this is wonderful. I love this team. That is what disorder is for. And then lastly, which is something that we haven't had really at all, right? The only a bloom style DPS or a bloom damage in the game period that we've had up until recently has been Vivian. So a lot of people have not even bothered to look at what a bloom is actually doing, like what type of damage is happening here, the style of gameplay. We recently got Grace and we got Bernice. The reason Bernice isn't down here is because unfortunately the developers decided to make a really dumb decision, and Vesper is fire resistant by a stupid amount. So Bernice at M0 is just not helpful for this, but Bernice does have a blooms. She would be considered one of those. So we have Vivian, we have Grace, we have Arya, right? These are the ones that we're looking at right now. And Grace's blooms are a lot more controlled, but same thing, popping EXs, popping her ult, big instances, big explosions of damage, right? When I get my EX meter, when I get my ult, and you see Grace just literally, she just slinging grenades, and you a bloom. Okay, it's a single instance of a ton of damage. That is what a bloom is for. I go on to explain it. I even use some math in here. Shout out to Lionel for having that in his video, and I was able to borrow those numbers just for some explanation purposes and give you guys everything here. And then I round it all out. This is all things that you need to know behind Vesper. Strategy. What does she do? How does she play? How do you beat her? What type of damage is best against her? Again, the only thing that's missing from this guide that I really wish I could go back and edit would have been adding in something about stunning and like how important stun was against her. Finally, we get to the actual boss guide, which is the moves that you guys want to know. How do I beat Vesper? A lot of the guides that I've watched recently, a lot of the guys that I've watched about Zenless Zone Zero in the past, all of them do something that I think is a really big mistake. And I feel like this is probably one of the biggest reasons why the majority of the player base has no idea how to actually fight bosses in the game. They just copy. They copy or they parrot, and they don't know why they're saying whatever it is. EO, what do you mean? All right, if we were to go inside of the game right now, and I were going to take you all the way over to Discordant Solo. Boom. Let's just go run this real quick. For a moment, let's just pretend that I'm giving you guys a live demonstration of the guide, right? Okay, guys, so today we're going to be doing a guide versus Discordant Solo. She's not really that bad of a boss. You know, she's going to start off in the beginning, do a couple attacks. You just want to mash. You want to avoid those. Next is going to be the important thing. And this is the only thing you need to know. Whenever she does this, all you have to do is parry and you're going to be good to go. Very easy parries. You're going to get a shutdown. And then you just you need to do as much damage as you can, you know, mash your buttons, get your combos out. And this is all you really have to worry about throughout the entire fight. Nothing else is going on here. And now she's going into her second stun phase, which, you know, Okay, so now this is the second most important part. And again, all you really need to know how to do is, when she comes in swinging, it's like a beat, you're going to parry, and that's it. After that, you just cruise through the fight. That's how most of the guides that I've seen about any single boss that don't go in depth are. I'm not talking about anybody's guides, but I feel like that's a horrible way to deliver information to a player base that doesn't. Okay, when I say you guys don't play games, I don't mean it in a derogatory manner. I mean that you're not used to like actiony games, right? Things that you don't have a big flash, right? In Zenless, we have a yellow parry or a big old red slash that tells you dodge this. In a lot of the other action games, you don't have that. You have to learn it, right? If you've played Elden Ring, and I'm using that because it's the most popular of the Soul series, when you go and fight, as soon as you start Elden Ring, who's the first enemy that you see coming out of the cave? The golden dude on the horse, right? He doesn't give you a giant yellow parry when he's going to swing at you. He just swings. And if you get hit, you're dead. If you don't get hit, you're not dead. Can you parry? Sure. The game in the cave taught you all the basic mechanics in the cave you learned, right? Elden Ring teaches you all the basic mechanics in the game. As soon as you get out, that's your opportunity. Hey, go fight this first boss or run away. But there is no like, here's a big old warning. I'm loading up my gun here. Hey guys, by the way, the game is gonna tell you I'm swinging right now. You should parry. The games don't do that. Other action games don't do that, right? Zenless does it because gotcha game, mobile, easier, whatever. Why was that important? Why was the live demonstration of me talking about that important? Because I'm telling you guys that if you don't know what you're looking at, and so people, this goes back to the little like the jab that you were talking about earlier, where you said I can't just use like, oh, you're not reading or you're ignoring the mechanics. I can't use that good old excuse anymore. Unfortunately, yes, I can. Unfortunately, yes, I can, because that's exactly what's happening here. I can use that. I don't want to use it in the sense of like, oh yeah, get f***ed, right? Like that's not what I'm doing at all. But I'm telling you that, yeah, no, it quite literally is, you don't know the mechanics. Most players don't know the mechanics. That's why I made this guide. I sat here and I quite literally watched everything. And Vesper isn't the first one that I've done this for. I've done this for the last 5 or 8 bosses where I literally sit here and you can see me doing it with Zhu Yuan. All of these clips primarily feature Zhu Yuan where I'm not fighting back. I'm just observing. Where did I learn that from? Monster Hunter. Because when you don't know how a monster plays, one of the things that I got recommended to do was to start the fight, run away, and like just watch what the monster does, and you learn how it behaves. That way you can see, hey, the Rathalos swung its tail, and then every single time it swings its tail, it turns to the left twice, looks for me, and then it shoots a fireball. That's a lot of time for me to get the fuck out of the way, or to prepare my shield, or put my sword away and run and do my dive, right? You learn. So what I did, I went through and I told you guys everything, right? Combo starters. I talk about every single move that she has that is essentially or would be considered, again, fighting game reference, a normal. Like these are the normal moves that I have, okay? I can do a normal punch. I can like light kick, light punch, medium punch, heavy punch, right? Crouching light kick, crouching medium punch. Those are normals. Then sometimes you have like command normals. This game, I'm not gonna go into that because like, no, but they're just normals. I listed out what they did. I explained, this is what she does. This is how you know this move is coming. This is how you defend against this move. This is the option you have for this move. This is the punish you can get from this move. I went in depth for you guys and I talked about everything pertaining to Vesper. My original impression of Vesper is that she was dick. This boss was ass. If you ask anybody in my Discord when I loaded up Vesper like Thursday morning or something like that, I turned on the game. I fought her the first time. I got like 7K or 12K with my Jane, Astra, and Vivian team, and I was like, this boss is dick. Like who the f designed this? This boss is ass. I was so disappointed, and I was immediately getting ready to make a video talking about why this boss was dick. Instead of doing that, I took a breather. I took like a 10-minute breather. I got up, I walked around, I got some water. I came back and I said, let me look at the boss. And I watched the boss. I studied what I couldn't do. Other people joined in call, and then we all just started labbing together. This is quite literally the most fun boss fight I've had in Zenless Zone Zero, probably since original Pompeii. Not gonna hold you. These are just the normals, right? But look at how many, I even gave you the clips. No one does this. I went out of my way to make the perfect guide for anybody that is struggling against Vesper so that you don't have to struggle anymore. Guarantee you read this guide, you can beat Vesper no problem. I then go on to explain the stage skills, and I tell you guys what each of these do, and these are nothing burgers. I talk about the control skills. And you know, you guys want to know how I know that I made the best guide? Because remember the live demonstration that I just gave you guys where I said like, oh, they tell you this and like to watch out for this, whatever. None of them have mentioned the fact that there are visual cues that you can look for so that you never, ever lose the control phase. And obviously we're not perfect. Sometimes you're gonna fuck up. It's whatever, right? Just restart or let it rock. Guys, did y'all know there are cheat codes in the game? I know you didn't. So look, I even tell you how to cheat the game. When you're fighting Vesper for the first control phase, and we can all look at this together. So whenever the control phase happens, right? If we all look at the bottom right of the screen, you see the space bar, it grays out, right? And then you see how it flashes back. That is a visual cheat code that I'm almost positive the developers didn't do this on purpose. Normally, when you're playing the action game, you are paying attention to the screen, the middle, Vesper. I'm looking at Vesper. That is what that they do that on purpose, right? Vesper swinging her sword. She's got all the flashy shit. They're giving you visual distractions to fuck you up because that's just how bosses are designed. That's what they want to do, right? The boss's goal is to win and beat you. So if you look in the bottom right corner, again, it's on a loop so you can see it over and over and over and over again. When the parry button flashes back to color, it goes from monochrome to chrome. I don't even think that's the way you say that, but monochrome to colored, right? I can say that because I'm black. You can't say that. That is when you can press the parry button and it's guaranteed going to parry. You can't fuck it up. You can't miss it. Boom. So that's the first cheat code, right? Told you guys that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And then after that, I talk about the dodging cheat code, which is something that a lot of people don't talk about. But I go a step further. All right. And I didn't have it here, but I do have the actual footage somewhere on my computer. I'll show you. So basically, the trick to dodging, you can't look at the dodge because if you do the parry thing that I told you for dodge, you're going to get. The dodge is actually a later timing than the parry window. So when you parry, the parry is extremely lenient. I can literally press parry too early and I'll still get the parry. But if you dodge too early, you're cooked. So how do you dodge? I tell you guys, the trick to dodging is to do it as soon as the sword looks like it's about to connect with your head. This is the dodge variant. We're gonna see it, boom. And then if you pay attention, you can see when I push the buttons. Look how late I press dodge. Look how late I'm dodging. Chat, the sword is swinging through my body. But naturally, right, and this, again, I had to go and like learn this, I had to study it. Naturally, we as players want to get out of the way when we see something coming, right? It's called a flinch, fight or flight. If I raise my fist at you, if someone raises their fist at you or prepares to throw something at you, your natural instinct is to either like flinch or get ready to block or get out of the way, right? Something, fight or flight. So when you're playing a game, naturally, I know it's an insane analogy. Naturally, when you're playing the game, your instinct when you're playing is you see her swing around the time that she's here. You're thinking, press dodge, get out of the way, dodge right now. Unfortunately, because the arc of her blade, her guitar, okay, is so fucking big, you're going to get clipped. If you dodge too early, the lag frames, which are just ending frames, the final frames or the final active frames of her attack are going to clip you. You're going to get hit and you're going to lose, right? So instead I teach you the trick. Dodge whenever the sword, you dodge when it's basically on top of your head. The sword is right here. The scythe part is getting ready to clip my neck and I'm out of there, bro. Just like that. Oh, but that was only one time. Okay, let's do it again. Weave. Come on, bro. And I paused it. That's how you know. Yo, don't fuck me. Y'all can't tell me shit. I'm saying the visual cues audibly for you guys. And I paused it on the exact frame that I started the dodge. That's how you know I put in the work, baby. Come on, man. When I tell y'all that I'm trying to help y'all out to get better, I learned something, I teach it to you guys every single fucking time. Yo, you're an elitist. All you care about is the meta. You don't want to help anybody. All you care about is the meta. I paused it on the exact frame, bro. Come on. Talk to me nice. All I want is my props, guys. Anyway, I do you one better. I teach you how to never have to play the game of control phases, ever. Something really cool, more fighting game tech incoming, is that Zenless has option selects. Yo, here you go with the fighting game bullshit. We don't want your fighting game shit. Yeah, you want it now. I bet you want it now. You absolutely fucking want fighting game shit in the game now. I guarantee it. Let me talk to you. What's an option select, right? I even have a link in my guide. I link you to the FGC glossary, so can't nobody say shit. All right. And I had to double check. I double checked with all my top player friends. I'm like, yo, bro, is this an option select? Like, just let me make sure, because I explained it to them. I showed it to them and they were like, what are you doing? And I said, I'm pressing this button and this button. So like, if this button comes out, then the other button doesn't come out. And then if it doesn't come out, or if I get hit, then the other, they're like, yeah, that's an option select. Like it's not the same one that would be like in a Street Fighter, because obviously you're not fighting like to get grabbed, but the concept is exactly the same. If something happens, this button comes out. If that thing doesn't happen, the next button comes out to cover your option. It's an option select. So I go on to explain that, right? And I say, basically, if you dodge and parry together, so 1 then 2, you can actually cheat the control skill to win no matter what. If you dodged at the right time, you get the dodge and the parry doesn't come out. That's a part of the option select. That's the first part. But if you miss the dodge due to poor timing, then the parry comes out and protects you anyway. It's dumb, but it's fun, and I love getting hype about it. This is why we love fighting game stuff. So some characters have more advantage with dodges than parries. And this is like a little bit more in depth when it comes to like the game overall. In the very first clip and the clip that got like, you know, a lot of likes, I'm playing Jane with Astra and Vivian. I could keep parrying back and forth between Jane and Vivian, get my decibels up. That's fine. You get decibels no matter what. What you'll notice is that I dodge on Jane, because Jane's mechanic is that when she dodges, she builds passion meter. If she scores a perfect dodge, she gains like 30% passion meter, something like that, something nutty. So I dodge enough times to refill my passion meter for free. Then I parry. Because now after the parry, I have a full bar of passion meter, which means I'm getting my maximum damage opportunities from assault. So dodging or parrying, it really just comes down to like the character, what you're doing, and whether or not it's easier for you to dodge or parry. Now, I also mentioned somewhere in here with dodging, for me in particular, because I didn't know that I could parry that skill originally. I just played the game, right? And I said this was dick. I didn't know that I could parry it. I learned how to dodge before I learned how to parry, not in the game total, just against Vesper. So naturally for me, my instinct first was to dodge. It was easier for me because I learned the hardest thing first. I didn't do it on purpose. That's just how it happened. So I know the most about the dodge window because of that reason. So let me show you guys, right? Because you're like, ah, man, you know, fucking option select, you're lying. Cool. No, I'm not. So this is where we at here. Let me see if I can actually pull it off. Here we go. All right. So this should be the option select. Okay. So what you're going to see me do is I'm dodging, and you see how the character's coming out anyway, because I'm hitting the option like, yo, if I miss it, something going to happen, right? But I'm getting my dodge off. There's another clip in here. Should be this here. There we go. Boom. Remember what I told you guys earlier, but if you dodge too early, you're going to get clipped. So you can see right here, control phase starts, she swings, and I dodge too early, but I still get parry to come out. I do it again, I dodge too early, and parry comes out. That's all it is. Every single time. And I've made sure to do it multiple times. And it's so simple to do. But like the whole thing that I'm getting at, right, is that it's another way to cover you not getting clipped so that you don't have to deal with the fight or the control phase of the fight. That's it. I know this video was like super long-winded, but there's so much about like boss design and Zenless overall, and like this boss in particular, that I really wanted to make sure that I got every single feeling about this boss out and directed you guys towards the guide, right? Whether that be the video guide that you watch, which should be coming out either by the time you watch this video, the video guide might already be out, or it might be coming out afterwards. I don't know. Point being is that like the boss is not over shield or whatever. I go on to explain again, more control skills. I talk about the puppet thing and how you can avoid that, or rather like how you beat it. None of the other guides talk about all of the moves, nor do they explain why these moves are so important. One of the common things that I've seen all of you, not obviously everybody in here, but everyone that would be complaining about this boss, one of the things that I've seen is that you guys are constantly complaining about the fact that like, oh, Vesper jumps in the air. I hate when the bosses like go in the air and they become invul and I can't stop them. They move too much. It's like you guys just want to fight sandbags, right? Like punching training dummies that don't move. I don't know. Did you know that you can actually stop her from doing 95% of the hyperactive stuff that she does? Some of the things, of course, she's going to do because she's a boss. She's going to fight back. Like that's her whole thing. But you can stop it. EO, how do you stop it? Well, thankfully I listed all that in my guide. Every single possible way that you can stop her, I listed it in my guide. I even go on to explain somewhere up here, I talk about corruption and shock and flinch and how using anomaly attributes, she's actually pretty susceptible to those. And if you do use anomaly counters or attribute counters, you're able to temporarily stun her or make her pause, right? That's what I mean by stun, for like 2 to 3 seconds, which is enough time for you to get off like a single EBA or an EX skill or whatever it is that you're having a hard time doing. But the most important thing, or the second most important thing to the fight, which I mentioned here, are what I would call finisher attacks. Finisher attacks are the big flashy attacks she does after control phase 1. And she has the opportunity to do it before her control phase starts, because the finisher attack can be comboed from one of her normals. And so that means that she can do something like, so this move here, right? Which is just like a single backslash. She can do this. It's going to stutter for a little bit. I don't know why this particular clip does that, but she can do this move here. And if you don't parry her, you keep dodging, which I mentioned that in the guide. She can quite literally turn around and combo you just because she wants to. She can literally go into one of her finisher attacks. It won't be all of them though. All finisher attacks won't be available at the beginning. The only one that I know is available in the beginning, because I have a couple of different clips that show it, is Void Stinger. Void Stinger is the one that I call where she literally stings like Dante. She like straight up just like this one right here. She just starts zoom, zam, zoom, zam. That's it, right? And then the thing that I mentioned here, which is again, how to beat it, none of those parries matter. The only parry that actually matters is the final parry. However, if you parry her third hit or the fourth slash total, something like that, you can auto parry the incoming slashes from all directions. I think it's about 3 or 4 different ones that she'll do. I'm not pressing the button here, right? I'll even full screen it for you guys. I'm not pressing the button. I parry one time and my Zhao parries every single thing after that. And then I go on to say, the only thing that you need to be focused on parrying is this move right here, the final hit. Every single finisher attack, you need to learn what that finisher attack is. Again, my guide tells you every single move, so you don't have to worry about that. I did all the work for you. All you have to do is put in the practice. The finisher attacks are the ones that cause her to get impaired. So you're gonna see me parry this, boom, impair happens. What does impair mean? Impair is like a temporary stun. Again, using stun in the sense of she stops moving. Impairs last for about 4 seconds. Attribute counters last for 2 to 3 seconds. So if you're playing the game and you're fighting her, like actually fighting her and responding to what she does or shutting down what she's trying to do, using attribute counters, you can full stop whatever she's doing. There's a couple clips that I have in here that also do that. So like, let's say she's preparing to do a finisher attack. If I pop corruption in the middle of her animation, she'll just full stop. Unfortunately, I don't get the impair because I don't get the final attack, but I fully stopped her from moving for 2 to 3 seconds because of the way the attribute counters work against this boss. Knowing your options in how to fight every single boss that you're struggling with is why some players are better at the game and some players, or a lot of players, are really bad at the game. Being bad is not a problem, by the way. Being bad and purposely like not choosing to learn, that's the problem. Being bad and not knowing anything, that you can't be blamed for that. Just go learn, right? Again, I'm doing the work for you. So the whole thing here, so a guide like this is perfect for somebody, not only perfect for somebody that wants to play Arya and they want to understand how the boss works, but this is perfect for somebody who wants to skip Arya. You don't want to pull Arya. You don't like the Angels of Delusion. Now you have a guide that helps you do it. And that's it. And again, I really would have appreciated more likes. You see 100-something bookmarks. I'll share the link in here with you guys as well, because I saw a couple of you guys asking for it. Guys, that's it. This boss isn't some crazy cracked out, I can't handle it, it's too hard, it's the worst thing in the world. But let's talk about some of the things that I do agree with when it comes to why Vesper is a problem. And I do go over that in my guide, both video format and the written format, as well as a couple tweets if you want to see that. But I'll just verbally say it here. The problem with Vesper is not that she is quote unquote Arya exclusive. She's not, but whatever. The problem with Discord and solo is that we as players, we're not prepared for Discord and solo, and the developers themselves did not prepare the player base. They did not give us enough means of resources to prepare us for that. I don't mean resources like level up materials. What I'm talking about is that, remember what I said earlier, the Bloom type DPS. We don't have anything for that. And the one thing that a lot of older Anomaly players have, Bernice, they can't use it. They can't use Bernice because she's highly resistant. And this creates a problem for a lot of players. We get into, again, talking about the hypercarry behind Anomaly. And if we talk about Miyabi for just a second, let's talk about the difference. 2 types of Miyabi players. I'll just put it that way. There's the normal Miyabi player, which we can probably consider like the average, they don't really know what they're doing with Miyabi. That's not shade to them. I mean, quite literally, Miyabi was just so strong that you didn't have to know. You could just do whatever you want. And so you're not paying attention to the anomalies. You're not paying attention to Frostburn or Shatter. You're not paying attention to disorders. None of that matters to you because you're just going to kill it. That's what I would probably consider closer to like a normal Miyabi player. And then the Miyabi player that knows what they're doing. They're paying attention to the anomaly meter. They're paying attention to the fact that if they do BA 1 through 3 plus EX, it's guaranteed freeze. Versus if they do BA 1 through 5 and then EX, they have just now wasted 45% anomaly buildup, right? If they have Sokaku on the team, right, they're playing mono ice, they understand disorders. But if they don't and they're playing Vivian, then they have to change their game plan. That's a whole different breed of a Miyabi player, right? But I say that because those type of players are the ones that understand Anomaly. Anomaly is not an easy, like it's easy to play on paper, but Anomaly is actually really complicated to understand when you're trying to learn Zenless, because everything revolves around the anomaly meter. You have to know things outside of the gameplay. Does that make sense? Probably not. Let me explain. Again, referencing fighting games because it's in my head. If I'm playing a fighting game, I don't have time to practice a combo in the middle of a tournament set or in the middle of a match, right? If I'm playing a guy and we're going, you know, 1st to 2 at a tournament, whoever loses gets knocked out. I can't think about, you know what, let me just practice a new combo real quick. Maybe this will work, maybe this won't work. That's usually not how it works, right? I need to already know ahead of time what combo can I do against this person? What is my B&B, my bread and butter? If I put him in the corner, what are my options? If I get put in the corner, how do I get out of the corner? You have to know certain stuff before you get into that position. Anomaly players, the ones that know, right? They actually learn Anomaly. They know this stuff. And so they're not having a problem versus Vesper. Now they're complaining, sure, but they're not having a problem handling the Anomaly, right? And so now that just becomes a difference of like, you don't know the mechanics yet, or you just don't like the mechanics, which is fine. And then you adjust or whatever. That's cool. But the other type of player, for instance, I saw someone earlier in here say they were playing Jane, Astra, and Vivian or something like that, or Jane, Yuzu, Vivian, and they only got 12K, which sounds very close to what happened when I first played Jane, Astra, and Vivian, and I had no idea what I was doing. Not the team, but the boss. I had to go in and I had to learn how the boss works. I had to go in, I had to learn what can my team do, and I practiced it. It didn't take me 5 hours or 8 hours or 22 days. Nope. Like an hour tops, right? It wasn't even like that at all, but I learned how to do it. And now I understand a lot more. I understand if I'm playing Jane, maybe I want an attack disc 6 or an AM disc 6 to make up for the fact that Vesper's anomaly buildup rate is ridiculously high for a boss that's suited for anomaly. Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, you see what I'm saying. The designs for Discordant solo, she isn't her herself is not the problem. The fight isn't the problem. The control skills aren't the problem. The finisher attacks aren't the problem. It's the fact that the developers have just not prepared the majority of the player base for a fight like Vesper. And they made it restricted on what anomaly units you could or couldn't use. That is probably the biggest issue. If some of you guys have been paying attention, you've also seen attack agents or rupture agents are actually beating up Vesper easier than the anomaly agents. And of course, this could be a number of different reasons why. The number one reason why, of course, is that like a lot of them are just not playing anomaly up to snuff for that type of playstyle. And going back to what I mentioned way back at the beginning of the written guide, 3 different types of anomaly, okay? Hypercarrier Anomaly is the weakest of what's being fought against Vesper right now. Hypercarrier Anomaly is the weakest one. That's the one providing the weakest results. A Bloom is providing the strongest for obvious reasons. And then Disorder, depending on how you play it or if you know what you're doing, Disorder is providing the second strongest results from the anomaly-based teams. And then after that, it's just straight up attack and rupture, doing whatever the fuck they want. So it is what it is, right? Those are the things that I agree with my peers or with the community when it comes to the things that are a problem. Again, not so much with Vesper herself, but Vesper being here right now. Ultimately, I would love more boss fights like this. I think if we got, for the rest of the year, if we got more Discordant solos, maybe mix and match, mix it up, it would be really healthy for the in-game meta. And I also want to point out something that I originally didn't like, but I think I really like it now. Discordant solo minus Arya, obviously, has completely shut down 65K runs, like baby version 65K runs. You have to work. You need mindscapes. You need power. Like, it is legit. If you go for a kill on Vesper, you have to come with heat to kill Vesper. Even just playing Arya normally, you're not getting a kill. You have to play her and know what you're doing against Vesper. I think that's a good step. That's a really good step. Now, I will say, because I just know it, I'm not going to sugarcoat that. That's stupid to do so. Vesper's HP, I didn't even know the HP at the time, but I know that they're bringing it down. I don't know when, but I know they're bringing it down, which means it's too high. And that might help out a lot of people, right? Bringing that HP down, but keeping the boss the way it is. That might help you guys go from the 16K to the 20K. Absolutely. Again, using my guide, or, you know, if you're comfortable using anybody else's guide, just whatever floats your boat, learning it, that's pretty much all it is. I don't want to apologize for an hour of power. I feel like this was a very, very productive hour for a lot of you guys to understand. I did a lot of this off the cuff. I will apologize for that part, but no way I was going to be able to put all this into some constructed format and condense it in like a 10-minute video. No way. Anyway, if you like the video, leave a like, comment down below, all that kind of fun stuff. Check out the guide. I'll have a link to it down below. Join the Discord if you want to do that, and come out to the streams, right, where we talk about more of that. I can't say my usual outro because it's inappropriate for YouTube. Also, something that I've been asking, let me know if you want me to make more written guides the way that I did for Vesper. If you do, I'll start working on more ASAP. They do take a little bit of time, especially because, one, I'm lazy and I don't want to do a lot of shit. And two, it helps when I have people helping me. But other than that, that's it. Smell you later.